Good morning, everybody. So just have to say it again, as Zach said, thank you all for being here and making the time. And I say that word make deliberately because we especially know how hard it is to get on your calendar. So the fact that you're all here with us right now is such a big deal. And thanks to our partners for supporting us, supporting our team, supporting our clients together, and for all the Tinuitians, as Zach said. I always say this to the team, but I got to say it again. I'm just really proud of all of the work that you do. So thank you for everything that you've done and for our team putting this together. All right. So Dalton makes sure that I do a lot of these events, and especially this year, right? She's got me doing a ton of these events this year. But this one is by far and away my favorite. But of course, you're all looking at me going, oh, of course it's your favorite. You work at this agency. Why wouldn't this be your favorite? And yes, there is truth to that for sure. But the reason that this one is my favorite is because I feel like this is a celebration of the work that we do together. And who doesn't like a celebration, right? But it's even more than that, and it's more than just about our partnership, because one of the things that I say to the teams all the time, and I said it on stage last year, I said it to our group at an internal leadership meeting that we had earlier this year, that I feel like you buy three things from us. I think you buy subject matter expertise, and Shingy just talked about this too. I think you buy trust, and I think you buy likability. And so if we unpack that a little bit, you know, the subject matter expertise, and I tell the team this all the time, that's an expectation. You expect us to know what we're doing. But you heard Zach talking about this too, and we've been doing so much across the agency to ensure that we continually stay ahead of the curve, that we're 3 steps ahead. Recently, we had a chance to present to a client, and we had actually parted ways with them 2 years ago. And they asked us to come back, and we had a chance to earn their business back. And so we went in, we presented, it was great. We answered the brief, we showed a bunch of the stuff that we've put into the agency over the last 2 years. And after the whole thing was over, the senior client, she came up to me and she just looked at me and she was like, "You guys have been really busy over the last 2 years." And I was like, "Yeah, we have. And we've been putting all of this stuff in place." And most of what we talk about and most of today is going to be about that subject matter expertise. But again, I share with the teams that this is a given. The trust and the likability, I think those are the harder things. So what's interesting, and Chingy, I love that you were talking about trust, because if you think about our relationships, that trust is earned really quickly. In a new business situation, we've got like what? 1 meeting, maybe 2. We do a Q&A, we respond to an RFP, and in a very short period of time, you trust us to partner with you to take on those challenges and unlock all of those different opportunities. But I think that there's degrees of trust. And so we have to keep reinforcing that over time. Now, the interesting thing is, and this I just want to give you some insight into the world of a performance marketer. Now, we know that marketing is very gray, right? But when you've been born in performance marketing, it's very black and white, because you get a budget, you get a goal, and you plug yourself into a terminal and you either deliver it or you don't. So it's really black and white that way. And because of that, performance marketers, we are deathly afraid of making mistakes. We never want to make a mistake. I mean, no one really wants to make a mistake, right? But we never want to make a mistake, but I'll say to the teams, like, you're going to make a mistake. It's going to happen. Now, what I believe you want from us is, if we do make a mistake, that we put things in place so we ensure that that mistake never happens again, and that we learn from it and we grow. And that's how we just keep reinforcing that trust. Now, on the likability piece, and sometimes I get some flack for this because I am a softie. My daughter's here, and she calls me high warmth but low control. She's taking a psychology class. And that's pretty true. But the likability piece, I think, is equally as important. So we've got this Slack channel called Water Cooler, and you see us post pictures with all of you, if we're at an event, if we're, doing a QBR, whatever the case is. And it's never these forced smiles. It's just these really happy, genuine smiles. Chelsea, the picture that you and Val posted when you were at Women in Retail, it was like you guys were beaming. And this is before you went on stage. And, I talked to the teams about the fact that you want to like who you're working with. We want to like who we're working with. If you like someone, you're going to attract other people that you like. And so the other thing is, and a really good friend of mine is here, and I'm going to talk about his work with us in a few minutes. His name's Stephen White, but Stephen you'll always say, clients don't always get to pick who they work with. Like, yes, you get to pick your team, but you don't always get to choose the people that are in finance or sales or IT. But you for sure get to pick your agency. And of course you want us to know what we're talking about, you want to be able to trust us, but we also believe that you want to like us. And we also really want to like you too. So it does go both ways for sure. So if we're coming together today to celebrate these three things, that's why it's my favorite event, and that's why it's just so much fun to have all of you here. So my first Tinuiti Live, 5 weeks in, now I'm 2 years and 5 weeks in. We had an ambitious agenda. I mean, Zach had shared with me everything that the agency had been doing, how it had got itself to this place, and then all the stuff that we wanted to do. And I shared with you that story about that new business pitch and the client coming to me and saying, you've done a lot over the last 2 years. And we really have done a lot. But there was one thing that was just like needling me. And I hate when I have a problem and I don't have a solution. It drives me nuts. And so I went to Zach and I was like, listen, one of the things I feel like we're struggling with is I don't know if we have a lens, like a way that we see the world. And what I mean by lens, some people might equate it to a tagline, and Shiggy just took us through a whole bunch of them. And some taglines look great in advertising, but others become like an ethos for the organization, and everybody lives and breathes it. And that's what I was looking for, because I've been in situations where I haven't had the lens, and then when we found it, it gives everybody that you work with all this clarity. So I said to Zach, I was like, look, there's this person I've worked with. He's great. He's a friend. He knows our space, and he started up his own business, and I think he can really help us. And so Zach and Stephen talked. That was great. I asked all my colleagues on the executive team, would you talk with him? This is what I feel like our challenge is. Do you think he could help us? They unanimously agreed, and so he got to work. So like any consultant, as you would imagine, he did a bunch of interviews. He interviewed a lot of people in our agency, not just folks on the executive team. He interviewed a lot of you. And so for those that participated in that, thank you for doing that. And he got us together, and we had a full day session as an executive team, and he went through it. Now, like most of you that have had a consultant come in, you're going to hear a lot of stuff that you figured you probably would hear, right? You're going to hear things that are great. You're going to hear some challenges, and there's not going to be too many things that are going to be surprising. It's more about what you do with that. But we did hear some stuff that really was unique and interesting. And it wasn't so much about, let's plan for this, that, and the other as it relates to AI, or let's fix this within our structure, or we've got this operational challenge. It was much more emotional. So one of them was, and they were all anonymous, and this person said, when we get the right people in the room, magic happens. And it wasn't somebody on the exec. And so that was great, because one of the things as leaders we've been trying to foster is collaboration. And so hearing someone say that was great. So we had someone else that had started a business that we bought, and he said, I started my business because I couldn't stand, as Zach was just talking about, the waste in our industry. And I just wanted to address it, and I wanted to see how I could take this on and fix it. And so that really struck a chord with us. But then the other one that probably stood out the most, I think to all of us, and definitely to me, and Chingy, you just said it with, we spend 80% of our time, at work, was this person said, my work is a big part of my identity. And I love that one because, I want this place to not just be a job. I want it to be a career. And if it's a career, it's more meaningful to you. You invest more of your personal equity in it. And so that piece was really important too. So we were excited about some of the things that we heard. And then he broke us into, well, Dalton really broke us into pairs, but we broke out into pairs and he challenged us to in 25 words or less, write our lens. So we all went away. And we're reasonably intelligent people, so we came back and we put this stuff up on the wall. It was fine. It was whatever. Some people thought that theirs were better than others, and that's okay. You can think that. You can all see who I'm pointing at too. But we were looking at it and we were just like, it wasn't us. And then Zach started looking at what other agencies had written, and he's just sitting over there and he's getting angrier and angrier. And it's not because it was good, it was because it was all the same. It looked just like the stuff that we put up on the wall. And so we were standing there and we were really, we were frustrated. So then Stephen looked at us and he said, well, look, I took a shot at doing this too. And before he shared that with us, the whole premise of this day, and Chingy, I'm glad you brought it up in your opening, was about the idea of emotional storytelling and how emotions drive so much. And he challenged us to say, he's like, look, decisions are emotional. When clients are making decisions, they're emotional. There might be rational explanations why I chose A versus B, but the underpinning of that is all emotion. So then we were talking, and we said the two most powerful emotions in the world, one is love, and everything that comes along with that. If you think about it, happiness, excitement, passion, just pure joy. And the other, and it's a word that I don't love very much, but it is equally as powerful, is hate. And everything that comes along with that, frustration, anger. But there's also one word that binds both of these things together, and that's motivation. Motivation to do more of what I love, motivation to get rid of what I hate. And so based on that, he said, with all the conversations that I've had with people, everything that I've heard, the common theme that just keeps coming through is you love growth. You love growth. And not our growth, your growth. Driving growth for our clients. We love it. And the thing that we hate is we hate waste. That's what we hate. And so, Tinuiti. We love growth and we hate waste. Now, there was this moment in the room, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I was sitting there and I was looking at all my colleagues, and it was like these four words were like floating around in the air, and you could see it just like sinking into everybody's brain. And it was totally silent, but it was completely electric. Because the whole room, you could see people like processing. They weren't saying a word. They were doing like this silent brainstorming. Shally, our CFO, Jeff, who runs HR, Zach, Diana, everyone could just start seeing exactly how they were going to use this and apply it to, the specific area of their responsibilities, how this would permeate throughout the agency. But I think the thing that we all loved the most in that moment was it just described us. It really described us. And that's exactly what we were looking for. And I wanted to make sure that I shared it with all of you because as your partner, I want you to know how we see the world. because how we see the world is exactly how we're going to attack the challenges that you have and unlock all of the opportunities that you've got in front of us. And every single person in Tinuiti, this describes the entire agency. And so I'm like that guy when I buy somebody a present, even though I'm supposed to give it to them in a week, I have to tell them right away. So I just immediately start going out and telling people. Dalton was really pissed at me. But I immediately start going out and telling people, like, this is what it is. And you could just see it with everyone I shared this with. And they were like, this is us. It's us. And so it was great. And so I wanted to share that with you. So we created this manifesto. And I just wanted to read it to you, and then I'm just going to play you a video of a brand campaign that we have coming up. But this manifesto, I think, really helps to take this and unlock what this really means for us. So just bear with me. We go to extraordinary lengths to understand a client's business dynamics and to be ambitious about media's potential to deliver growth, immediate and enduring growth. Progressive growth that defines the category. Waste is the biggest growth killer. We don't tolerate it, we track it down, we expose it, and then we eliminate it. Tinuitians are united by our culture of ownership. We own the need to drive growth for all of you and end the waste in your systems. We invest in our craft, we appreciate the part each of us plays, we cherish the alchemy of magical moments of teamwork. Deliver on this mission, and marketing can be what we all want it to be.
Brands care about two things in media. One they love, the other they hate. Growth moves brands forward. Waste holds them back. Love growth. Hate waste. At Tinuiti, our technology reveals the truth, enabling our people to create growth for brands that defines the category, and to hunt down waste, the biggest growth killer of all. Do this, and marketing can be what we all want it to be. Love growth. Hate waste. Tinuiti. Love growth, hate waste.
All right, as always, love standing up in front of all of you. It's such a privilege to do this. And now I want to invite to the stage Andy Judd, who's the CMO of Poppy, Dalton Dornay. They're going to have a conversation that really, I think, illuminates exactly what we're trying to do with love growth and hate waste. Thanks again for being here, and enjoy the rest of today.